Hello, people of God. I'm going to let you guys come in. For those of you who watched the replay, be sure to like and share. I just want to come on here really briefly and discuss this issue. Also, I want to say this. I may go live. I'm not making a promise on this, but I may go live again today. So, what I'm thinking to do, because I had a few things I wanted to discuss, but I don't want to jumble them up into one video. So, what I'm thinking to do, that's if I do it, is make a series over the next few days of videos where I'll record them live, but immediately after I record them live, I will take them down, but not permanently. I would just kind of release them, throughout the week or what have you. But those of you who catch it live, you'll catch it live. Those who don't catch it live won't catch it live. I'm not making that as a promise, but just when I got up today, I had a series of thoughts of things that I wanted to talk about. But I want to come out here and I want to talk about this viral video, this thing that's trending on TikTok and now all over social media, where this woman cut off her daughter's hair to punish her. And I think it's something, when I saw that yesterday, I knew it was something that had to be discussed. It's not one of those things that you kind of brush past, because anytime you come in contact or you come across a toxic mother, you can bet your by golly, wow, there are thousands, if not millions, of other mothers out there who think like her. As a matter of fact, I posted about it to my TikTok yesterday, and some woman comes to my page and she gets into the comment section and she was like, "You need to take this down. She didn't do anything wrong," or what have you. And I already knew, when you're dealing with people like that, 9 times out of 10, that's a troll. That's a person that wants attention. She wanted me to come in the comment section and address her so we can go back and forth. Trolls do that kind of stuff just to get attention, just to get people to come view their page because it's a cry for help. But whenever I see stuff like that, rather than me getting in pride or getting in my feelings and trying to go back and forth with a person who has no intention of learning anything, I do myself and them a favor. I just delete their comment, because again, it's not even really about just going back and forth with me. A lot of times when people do that kind of stuff, they're looking for other people to come out, like they're trying to trigger people because they themselves are hurt and they're demonized, and so they're trying to trigger people to go back and forth with them, or what have you. So typically, if I come across a comment that is designed to provoke a negative response, I have the joy of deleting something that took them probably several minutes. Because when you're dealing with a troll, trolls are going to typically spend quite a bit of time before they post a thing, because they're going to backspace, clean it up. They're going to keep going back. They're going to put all that effort into it because they want to hit you, where it hurts. But it only takes me a second to delete it. I'm trying to get down from that second. I got down from 2 seconds, but it takes me a second to delete it. But do me a favor as you guys come in. This is just small talk. Do me a favor. Be sure to like and share this. And I want you to hear me when I say this. There are people on your social media pages that are bad mothers. Okay. There will be people who are bad mothers that come out and watch this. And the thing about it is, they're not going to be honest with themselves about them being a bad mother. There are mothers that have watched my videos and women that will watch my videos who are jealous of their daughters, who wrestle with jealousy. And I want to briefly stop there and I want to talk about this thing called jealousy, because anytime I've noticed when people, I've never come across, or I've rarely come across people who struggle with jealousy, who readily admit it. And it's one of those things, like you can find people, they will admit to anything in the world. People will admit that they masturbate and watch porn before they admit they are jealous of another human being. And that's because jealousy is guarded by the spirit of pride. And one thing about it is, people, whenever they're dealing with jealousy, they don't want to give another person a satisfaction, because they already feel like that person has, something that they feel the person is not entitled to, or the person, something that the person is not deserving of. So one of the first places I want to kind of stop off before we get into the lesson, one of the first rest stops I want to go into before we get into the lesson, I want to help you to understand whether or not you wrestle with jealousy. Because when it came down to this mother, people came out and they, were ridiculing her because she posted it to social media hoping to get a positive response. She thought she was going to get a good response. She thought people were going to praise her. And I'm pretty sure she knew there was going to be some backlash, but she thought for the most part that it was going to be an overall support. of what she done. And instead, people are calling her out for what is clearly seen in the video. They called her jealous, and that's one of the first things that she wanted to respond to. So that's one of the things I've noticed about jealous people. Or when people wrestle with jealousy, whenever you call jealousy by its name, it's almost like it says, huh? It can't stand for its name to be called. That's one of the things I've seen consistently with people who wrestle with jealousy, is that they are very defensive of that demon within itself. People typically have a very intimate relationship with how they feel, even though those feelings, and many times, are demonic or the evidence of demonic energy. And when I say demonic energy, I'm talking about a demonic spirit, the expression of a demonic spirit. But whenever you're dealing with jealousy, I'm going to show you some of the signs, and I'm going to show the video, but I'm going to wait for us to get enough people in here. So do me a favor, be sure to like and share. I don't want to share it and then have to reshare it. Do me a favor, be sure to like and share. I'm going to show the video, but before I show the video, I want to make sure that I issue a trigger warning, that it is going to upset some of you, and if you've had childhood trauma, especially childhood trauma from a woman or childhood trauma from your mother, then there is a high probability that this could evoke negative feelings or what have you. So if you happen to be at work, or what have you, or if you're already in a dark space, I don't necessarily think it would be a good idea for you to watch this video. I would say wait till you're in a better place mentally and emotionally, before you watch this video. But let's go ahead and talk about this. I want to discuss first, before I show the video, before we go into any other part of the lesson, let me help you to understand whether or not you wrestle with jealousy, especially as it relates to your children. I met this girl some years ago, woman, as a matter of fact, some years ago. She was in her 40s, and she had this testimony. She shared with me how her mother treated her, how her mother used to abuse her. Her mother would call her fat and ugly and tell her, you think you pretty, and all of this stuff. Her mother was really competitive with her. And I had the not so pleasant chance to meet her mother, and her mother was a piece of work. When I met her, you can feel that negativity, you can feel those spirits on her mother. But she told me all of this stuff about her mother. This young lady herself had a daughter and a son. Her daughter at the time was like 21 years old, and then she had a son that was more of a teenager. And I started observing her. I noticed that whenever she spoke of her son, she spoke highly of him. She spoke, positively of him, and where she was talking so good about her son. But whenever she talked about her daughter, she was always talking about the problems she had with her or what have you. I figured, the daughter, probably in that stage of rebellion, because the stage of rebellion typically starts around, well, it used to start around 16. I'm starting to notice that today's children, it seems to start a little bit earlier, probably around 13 or 14, whenever they start getting a taste for boys, a desire for boys, and they start calling themselves dating. That's when you'll start seeing cases of rebellion. But one of the things I remember about this young lady was that when it came to her daughter, she was very hard and really unforgiving, really abrasive, or what have you. I noticed that she was really negative toward her daughter. Consequently, her daughter had taken on a belief, wait, there's nothing I could do to please her, so why even try? So she just did whatever she wanted to do. So one day I pulled her over and I let her know. I was like, that thing you told me about you and your mom? I said, I see that playing out between you and your daughter. And she was like, no, I'm not my mother to my daughter. I said, you actually are. You don't necessarily realize it. You may not call her ugly. You may not call her this, but it is manifesting, is materializing in another way. I said, I've never seen you have a positive encounter with her. And she's like, that's because she does all this. And I said, well, she does all that because she feels like you don't like her. So the reason I want to share that, the reason I want to address that is because there are people that are going to watch this video. You may be tuned in now. If you're not tuned in, there are people that are going to watch this video who have that issue, that you were abused by your mother. You were mistreated by your mother. Your mother competed with you. Your mother mishandled you. Your mother abused you. Your mother rejected you. Your mother neglected you. And you may be repeating that generational curse and you don't know it because you're so busy focusing on how your daughter reacts as opposed to focusing on what caused the reaction in the first place. Now, that brings me to a scripture. Let me pull this scripture up. And again, we're still in the early stages of this. Give me a second. And so I'm saying that to say we still have our numbers are still low, but give me a second. That means y'all should be liking and sharing while I pull this scripture up. Okay, give me a second. Something along the line, fathers, don't provoke your children to wrath. Because, you know, a lot of us think that we have the right, and you got to have a right attitude whenever you are parenting. You have to understand that even though you can say my daughter or my son, my child, you have to understand that they don't belong to you, they belong to God, and that would change how you parent. If you always rehearse that in your mind, that would change how you parent. If not, then you will objectify your own kid and you will see them as your property. Okay, I'm going to read the English Standard Version. That's Ephesians 6:4. It says fathers, and that's not just limited to fathers. That's also dealing with mothers, for those of you who don't know. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. Do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. And one of the things that we have to come to understand is that there is a difference between discipline and abuse, which is why corporal punishment is shunned so badly these days, or looked upon as if it is something bad, is because a lot of people went off the deep end and actually abused their children rather than disciplining them. So people, whenever you talk about corporal punishment, people have a triggered response. A lot of times they think, oh, you don't know what my mama did to me, or you don't know what this person did to me. And they think that it is something that should be removed altogether. They think it's something that should be removed altogether. How you discipline your child, you know, is your business, as long as you're not abusing that child. You have to make sure that whenever you're disciplining a child, you always have to make sure you're thinking of the end result. That means that whether you take their video game or if you spank them, whatever measure or mode of discipline that you use, you always have to think beyond that moment. And it can't be wrath filled. Remember, the Bible says that vengeance belongs to the Lord. It can't be wrath filled. That means you don't whoop a child because you're angry and you want to feel better. And you feel like, if I whoop the child, I'll feel better, because now the anger will leave me and I'll be able to express my anger, because demons have to express themselves. I'll be able to express my anger on this child and then I'll be relieved. No, what you just did is pacify the demon, right? You pacify the demon. So it has to be always motive driven. And when I say motive driven, you got to look, the root word of discipline is disciple. The objective is so that the child will be a disciple of Christ Jesus, right? So the child will be a disciple of Christ Jesus. In other words, you want to make sure you look at it from the point of, whenever, if I'm disciplining my child, my objective is to correct. That's it. It's not to punish. It's not to hurt. It's not so the child can go in there and realize you don't tick me off or what have you. The objective is for me to communicate to this child that there are consequences for your actions, and consequences don't feel that good, right? That's to communicate that. Now, before I go any further than that part, let me just go ahead and make sure that I say this. If you sit back and say, well, I don't believe in children getting corporal punishment, that's your business. There's no reason to get into the comment section and fight with other people about how they discipline their children, because at the end of the day, I got corporal punishment. I can say that at times it could be a little bit abusive, because a lot of times my mother would come at us from an angry place, and that was the mistake. But I wouldn't trade corporal punishment, because it made me a better person. Not only did it make me a better person, I can tell you I got relatives that did not get spanked, or they didn't get spanked that much. They didn't get corporal punishment. And yeah, they had no fear of anybody, including authority. All right. So again, we're talking about the lady who decided to come on social media, recorded it live, her cutting the hair off her daughter's head. But before we go into the video, one of the things that I wanted to mention is, I wanted to give you some of the signs and symptoms of jealousy. I keep finding myself in these rabbit holes, but I wanted to give you some of the signs and symptoms that you may be wrestling with jealousy. And like I said, the reason that's important is because jealousy will never identify itself. Because I'm going to show you how jealousy works. Anytime I come in contact with people, I've had friends who wrestle with jealousy. And whenever you call jealousy out of a person, they don't like to admit it. I've only came across maybe one or two people who have alluded to the fact that they wrestle with jealousy. Let me tell you how jealousy works. So jealousy works like this. Typically, people who wrestle with jealousy, you look at things from two different dynamics. You look at people like, you'll want to get close to people for whatever reason. People who wrestle with jealousy, a lot of times you have a desire to get close to people, But and in some cases you probably don't, or you'll have a select group of people that you want to get close to. But when you get close to people, the first thing that you do from the outskirts, like if I'm here and you're here, meaning we don't have a relationship, but we're within sight of each other, you may look at all the good that I'm doing and you'll say, I love me some Tiffany. Tiffany is an amazing woman of God. Oh my God, I thank God for her life. And then you start sowing seeds, you'll start doing all of those good things and what have you, because that's how jealousy works. Jealousy in the beginning stages, it doesn't act up. Jealousy typically likes to act up within proximity. Jealousy likes to act up within whenever you get within a certain proximity, right? And so, even if you don't build an intimate relationship, or even a remotely distant relationship with me, if you're wrestling with jealousy, one thing that jealousy will do is it'll make you want to get closer, even if you don't have a relationship, because you want to examine the person. Because the first, in the initial stage, and I'm talking about unfamiliar jealousy when you don't know a person, then I'm going to talk about familiar jealousy when you're dealing with it within a family or a friend construct. But you will sit there, but you'll get within proximity, and at first it's admiration. At first it's admiration. At first you're sitting there looking and you're saying, oh my gosh, I love the word in her, I love how God uses her, I love this, I love that. Next there comes these thoughts. I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna put it from a spiritual perspective. It starts with thoughts. I think if I go to lunch with Tiffany, I think if I did this, I think if I did that, then you know what? We'll be cool. We'll be good. We'll be really good friends. I think she's a cool person to have. That's the type of friend I've always wanted, or what have you. And then you have these imaginations. This is why I tell women, whenever you're thinking about dating, don't hijack the man's will in your mind. We have a tendency to do that as women. We hijack the will of another human person, a human being. So from a distance, if you're looking at me or another woman, you're hijacking my will in your head. That means you're imagining what type of friend I'd be, but you don't know my personality. So because you don't know it, you're going to attach a personality to me that doesn't necessarily belong to me. You may find my personality here, but you'll attach a personality to me, a personality or trait. And what you're doing is you're thinking from the place of your voids. You're thinking from a place of need. So you think about the middle of the night when you have one of those attack dreams or what have you. I'm gonna call Tiffany, and you think that I'm gonna pick up the phone and we're gonna talk or what have you, and you'll be like, Lord, I thank you for Tiffany. Well, that what that does is it makes you start pursuing a person. It makes you start pursuing a relationship, pursuing a friendship. Once you get that friendship, I'm telling you how the spirit of jealousy works, because it needs to express itself. Once you get within proximity, once you get close, you will always see a person's flaws. Always. The closer you get, the more you're going to see their flaws. Everything looks great from a distance. So you'll come up into my life, and the first thing that you do, and I've had to correct people about this, where that word pushing, and then they get in your life and they're like, I know you ain't eat another cheeseburger. And I'm like, that's funny at first. But over the course of time, I'm like, why is that every time I see you, you're kind of hollering, what you eat today? Why are you looking like that? Why has your perception shifted? But they don't realize that that's a spirit. Because once they get close, that's the first thing that they do. And the reason that they do it is because they're trying to find a way to feel like they are worthy of your friendship. So they got to find where you're broken so they can fix you. Okay, I'm gonna put it out there if you want me to tell the truth. They're trying to find an area where you're broken, an area where they're strong, where they can fix you. Why you? Why you did you working again? You didn't come. You don't never come out the house. Well, I do a lot. I have customer orders, not to mention ministry. It's a lot. My plate is really full. But I'm just saying, you got to get out the house. How you expected somebody go to me? So I'm saying that to say they get close and then they start noticing problems. They start noticing issues in your life, or things that they feel like that, and they be like, I don't care. I'm coming to get you Saturday. What are you talking? You might as well get your Saturday night. I'm coming to get you, and we're gonna go out. No, I didn't make any plans for Saturday, or I may have plans. No, I'm not going. I'm not taking no for an answer. Well, I'm going to stand by my no. That's just me as a person. I'm going to stand by my no, because at the end of the day, I don't like that. I don't like control, and I don't like bullying. I don't care if it's hidden behind good intentions. I don't like that kind of stuff. So I'm going to stand by my no. Typically, from there, with jealousy, that person is going to manifest. I'm telling you, I'm going to talk about when it comes from a mother, whenever you're dealing with a family member as well. But right there, y'all know, I'm resonated with some of you. From that moment on, the minute I sit there and institute that no, and I said, I'm not going out Saturday night. I understand. Yes, I can get out the house a little bit more, and I am looking forward to doing it. But no, not right now. I got some stuff on my plate. When I finish everything on my plate, we can have this conversation. We can revisit this conversation, and I can make plans. We can sit there. We can come up with something together. But I'm not coming out Saturday night. So that's, you know what? I'm not going to even try. You see, that's what I'm trying to say. That's control. That's control. From there, you will see jealousy, because jealousy typically rears its ugly head when it doesn't get what it wants. It when it doesn't get what it wants, it typically rears its ugly head. And from there, that's when I notice that the person is starting to act out, maybe not calling, making little slide posts on social media. You can't help everybody, save your spit and all that. You like, the heck? And for me, I'm the type that'll call and be like, hey, what's up with that post? Like, that's kind of weird. Are you good? Nah, I just post that up. Okay, no, you good? But I'm saying that to say those relationships don't end well, which is why I don't allow them. I don't allow people to do the run past the speed limit and just get into my life like that, because they all end the same way. When you're in a rush to build something with a person, is typically because you wrestle with jealousy, but you yourself have yet to identify it. Jealousy is typically identified through other people who are outside of you, who can tell you got an issue. Because from there, the minute you get offended with me, the first thing you're going to do is you will start to list all of the things that are wrong with me. You can't help, and then she thinks she think this about herself. Because one thing about jealousy is always tells you how you think. And anytime I've had a conversation with anybody, I've done coaching and counseling with a person, and they said, yeah, I don't fool with her because she thinks she's better than me, or she thinks she's pretty. I always ask this question: how do you know what she's thinking? Did she tell you how she's thinking? No, you can tell. No, how do you know? Because you don't have a way to look inside of her head. You don't see her neurons. You don't see her brain. Her thoughts are not on some type of screen for you to see. How do you know what she's thinking? I started asking that question when I was in my 20s, early 20s, probably before I got in my 20s, when I was working at Walmart. I would ask people that. I was like, when they try to tell me about a person, I'm like, how do you know what she's thinking? You know why I started doing that? Because I grew up in a house with that type of mentality. And one of the hard things is for a person to tell you how they think you're thinking, and you're sitting there looking like, I wasn't even thinking that. What are you talking about? That didn't even cross my mind. Literally, I just got up and walked to the bathroom. That's it. I came out of my room, I walked to the bathroom, and then I came back into my room. And now you got to deal with people sitting up there talking about, I know you came out the room to bother me. Girl, I don't know which part of Legion that is, but I literally thought to myself, wow, I gotta pee. I drank a lot of water last night. Let me go to the bathroom. Most people wake up having to pee. That's it. Whenever you're dealing with jealousy, people are always looking for a reason to accuse you, because jealousy is looking to express itself. And when you're nice and you're kind and you don't do anything wrong, they have to find a way to eh, get you to a place where they can accuse you of wrongdoing, which is why people will start trying to control you or put pressure on you. Am I making sense? I know y'all are here for the video. Y'all, I promise you we're gonna get to the video. I didn't find the original. Everything I found on TikTok is a stitch video, so I will be showing you a stitch video, but this one has it in its entirety, or what have you. But I'm saying that to say that that's how jealousy works. For some of you, you are entertaining people in your life who are jealous of you, and you don't know it, and they won't even be honest with themselves about it. And they don't know that one of the expressions of jealousy is that you're repeatedly offended with a person. You're repeatedly agitated with the choices that they make. That's one of the signs of jealousy, is that you're repeatedly agitated. Why you wear that? Why you so focused on what I wore? Why you did the crochets? I liked your hair when you had the other stuff. That, thank you. Thank you. That yeah, it was just a little temporary do I decided to go to, before I get into something else major. So just something I did. So let's go ahead. I want to go ahead and show you the video. But one of the things I want to ask you guys, because Y'all got to do me a favor. Do me a favor. Be sure to like and share. Like and share. I'm coming to give y'all a live video. So do me that favor. All right. Okay, so I'm not a parent who likes to use physical discipline. Come here, you're gonna learn today, girl. No physical discipline. Mom, don't mom me. No. You had your warning, you had your chance. I told you to listen. I told you stop disobeying my rules. I told you being cute ain't shit. If you have no education, I told you stop disobeying me. I told you to listen and do as you're supposed to. I told you to do good in school. I told you to do your daily routine, and you yet to even do any of it. And you thought you were disobeying me today, and I was not coming to cut this hair off. You're sadly mistaken because you thought being pretty was so much better than being educated or listening to your mom, right? Yes, this is what happens when you don't listen to your mom. The crazy thing is today, I had to do something that good. She has another video. I'm going to show you guys that. Okay. Remember I said I was going to tell you about jealousy when it comes from a mother to a daughter. You'll notice that she kept referring to her daughter, you think being pretty. You think being pretty. The daughter just rebelled. For whatever reason she's doing, this is a teenage kid. Y'all want to know something about teenagers? They rebel. That's what teenagers do. Teenagers rebel. They rebel against systems. You know why? Because they're going through a hormonal change. Most of the times, if they are in a public school, if they're in the presence of other children who are rebelling, and those children are making fun of them. I told a story. I told my friend girl a story of when I was 14 years old, of how I tried to go get rid of uh, my virginity or what have you. And it's a weird story. But anyhow, I told her I was 14 and I had gone out of state and I was at my cousin's house. I was in Milwaukee. And my cousins, who were about 2.5, 3 years older than me, started making fun of me. They started saying, "Oh, you were virgin. You got milk behind your ears." What it now? I called myself trying to do stuff before, but never really had actual like sex. And I was 14. And they were like, "Oh, no, she's just a baby. She got milk behind the ears. She this and she that." I'm saying that to say, before I went down there, I wasn't pulled into that level of rebellion, but I was dealing with peer pressure. I was dealing with that. So I had a boyfriend that lived down the street from them. I had a boyfriend, and my other cousin was dating his uncle or what have you. So I got up, 14 years old. I marched down to my boyfriend's house. His mom was always at work. And I remember it was a duplex. And I remember his house was in the middle. I don't know if you called it a duplex, considered it was three, but his apartment was in the middle. And it was one of those apartments when you open the door, all you saw was stairs. Like it was just narrow walls and stairs that go straight up. And everything else on the one on the right and left, I think were ground levels. So he comes to the door. He's like, "What are you doing here?" The first thing I started doing, because this is my little boyfriend, we used to like kissing on each other. I start kissing on the dude. I'm kissing on him or what have you. And he's not resisting me kissing. I sit back and I start trying to push his body upstairs. And he stopped me. He puts his hands on the walls. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I said, "Let's go upstairs." And he's like, "For what?" I said, "So we can go through it." And he stopped me. He was like, "No." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So then I go back in for another kiss because I'm like, I ain't got him heated up enough yet. I go back in and start kissing him on some more. I'm trying to touch on this dude. I'm trying to get him upstairs. Why was I doing it? Because I wanted to have something to boast about so they could stop making fun of me. Thankfully, this young man told me no. He sat back and he told me he would, which is weird, but thankfully he refused to go up the stairs with me. He sat on the stairs and he was like, "Sit down." I'm like, "I want to sit down. I want to go upstairs and go into the bedroom and let's go do some things." But he was like, "Let's go upstairs." I mean, I kept saying, "Let's go upstairs." He told me to sit down. I remember I didn't sit down. He sat down. I remember standing up in front of him and him holding my hands. And he said, "Tiffany, I really like you. I would even say I care about you, but I don't want us to do that because you're going to go back to Mississippi." I'll never forget what he told me. He said, "You're going to go back to Mississippi. You're only here down temporarily." And he said, "I don't want you to get pregnant." He said, "My father was not in my life. My mother was a single mother." He said, "I don't think I could bear it having a child with you and my child is in Mississippi being raised. He says, so I don't want to do anything that would cause us to both become parents or what have you. He spoke like an adult. He spoke like an adult. And I'm sitting there like, dude, not long. We sitting there at that time, I'm too young to understand that he's talking to me like an adult, because you know what? At that moment, my only focus was having my virginity taken. That was it. My only focus was, listen, do get this over with, okay? So that I can have something to go back to, so they won't keep making fun of me. So they won't keep making fun of me. Long story short, he talked to me with such maturity, all that. We broke up probably 2 weeks later. I don't remember what we broke up for, but we broke up about 2 weeks later. I'm still down there. I'm still in that mode. I'm still determined. Somebody's going to break this virginity. Who else y'all got? This other dude that used to frequent the house. We talk, and we never got a relationship, but we go into the room, and I'm like, let's go. So I attempt to have sex with him. Thankfully he had no experience, and I don't want to be so brazen deflowering a person that he got upset at the fact that I was a virgin. He was like, he was like, you ain't never had. I'm like, well, technically, he was like, but you never had anybody to like go. I'm like, and he didn't follow through. He didn't follow through. He didn't like, yeah. I don't know how to explain it. Y'all got anything else? You got anything else? I'm saying that to say children are typically rebellious because they're around other rebellious kids, and kids put a lot of pressure. They compare our school systems to prisons. You get a lot of pressure put on you at school and within your family. So if she's rebelling, she's in good company. That doesn't mean that your child is broken because your child is rebelling. It just means that you have to really you got to hound in on your discipline. You got to revise your disciplinary tactics. You got to make sure that you're consistent in your discipline, because that's where most issues come from. Okay, y'all say she ain't got no kids. Most issues come from a parent being a yeller and not a disciplinarian. Yelling is not discipline. I don't care. I'm gonna tell the truth. If I came on here, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm not gonna be pacified. I'm not gonna be muzzled. Most of it comes, you know how I know that? Being around mothers. Most of it, go sit down. Didn't I tell you to sit down? If you keep getting up, you keep doing that to that kid, that's abuse within itself. That's not doing anything, because that child no longer fears you. There's a thing called healthy fear. We have it for God. So we model that out with our kids. Go sit down. And the child understands. Second time, there is going to be correction. If you are consistent with that, when a child starts, that makes the child learn how to count the cost. The Bible says, before you build a thing, count the cost. The child count the cost and realize you ain't going to do nothing. And they're going to get older. And they're going to get stronger. And you know what? They're not going to sit there and listen to you because they're so used to you talking noise. They're used to you just yelling at them, but you're not doing anything. If you say, we got a 1, 2, 3 method in our house. If I tell you to do something, you go do it. If you don't do it, this is what's going to happen. And you execute that thing consistently, it forces the child to count the cost. And if you say, well, Tiffany, I tried that and they were still, then that means that the cost, they were willing to pay it. That means you better up the ante. So let's talk about jealousy with the mother. What did you see? One of the things that you can see is manifestation of jealousy in her is her reference to how her daughter looks. She keeps referring, you think being beautiful is better than an education. It's her reference to how her daughter looks. Now, I know that we can argue that the mother herself appeared to be an attractive woman. You can tell, even though she has a filter on, that she's an attractive woman. I talked about this on TikTok, and I'm going to say it here. A lot of jealousy is not just in looks. A lot of it has to do with generational, or the generational gap. I'll tell you like this. When I was a young lady, because I could talk more here than I can on TikTok. When I was a young lady, when you're young, You're cocky. And there's nothing wrong with that because you're young. You're full of life and energy and happiness and joy, and you have not been humbled by the truth. You have not been humbled by real life, which is why those girls who were in high school, the mean girls in high school, they don't go very far because they get an unrealistic view of what life looks like because they don't realize once they come outside that high school, they're not gonna get favor. That's why they stay with their small systems. They don't realize once they come out of high school, they're not going to have that same measure of favor. Once they step into a college, they're no longer the most beautiful girl or the one that gets all the attention. People in the college don't care nothing about your money, your daddy money. There's a girl over there, and they're like 10 girls in here who daddy's got more money than you. In college, you're nothing. That's why a lot of times they get to college, and what happens to them? Y'all want me to tell the truth? They get ran through because they got addicted to a reality that wasn't real. That's within a small system. That's within that small school. But at some point, they got to go to a bigger place. And at college, it's going to be bigger than the school. And then when they come out of college, they got to come into life. They got to come out, they got to go out and realize this is what the Bible says to prepare them. Get them ready. You got to make sure that they are set on the path that they're going to go. So you got to make sure that Jesus is the head of their lives. And that way, when they're old, they won't depart from it. You got to set the stage so they can have a reality check, because a lot of kids got to get a reality check once they get out of their mom and daddy's house. I've seen that within my own family. And you know what? They don't fare well, because they didn't get the hardship. They didn't get the hard truth about life. I'm not saying you abuse. I'm saying you got to let you got to let them realize that life don't care about how cute you are. Life don't care about how cute you are. But in her case, this woman is spending so much time trying to humiliate. There are several things that we see the mother doing. One, she set the video up to publicly humiliate her daughter with the intention of it going viral. Watching the video, it made me think of Mean Girls. It made me think of those girls who are jealous of another girl because she's pretty, and they will cut her hair off at school, her hair off her head. They'll jump her and cut her hair off, or they'll use a box cutter and cut her face. I seen that 2 times when I was in high school. I seen that 2 times when I was in high school. Yes, I got on TikTok. I didn't want anybody on here to know it first, because I didn't want to grow the same following. Not to say I didn't want people to come follow me. I'm saying I didn't want it to be just, initially I wanted to just see it grow organically or what have you, if that makes sense. But when it comes down to where was I at? When it comes down to it, when she cut her daughter's hair off her head, or no, I was talking about in school. When I was in school, I remember this girl. It was these 2 girls. They were both Caucasian. One of them had blonde hair, and she was a cocky one. I ain't gonna lie to you, she was cocky, and she had her ways. She had her ways. The other girl had dark hair. She was a little bit more down to earth or what have you, and she didn't necessarily fit in. I mean, she was cool. She was just I don't remember seeing her with anybody, or maybe she had like one friend or what have you. But I remember they got into a fight. And the one with dark hair, she overpowers the one with blonde hair, overpowers her. And we're in the bleachers. I remember we're in the bleachers. She overpowers her, gets her on the ground, and she pulls scissors out of nowhere and proceeds to cut this girl's hair off of her head. You cannot tell me that's not jealousy. When people attack your beauty, it is jealousy. It's because they feel like you're stupid. They feel like your strength is how you look. That's why they do that. And then whenever we saw, there was a case where one girl, I didn't see it happen to her, but I remember she had a stitch on her face. But somebody took a box cutter and cut her. I'm saying that to say people do that when they see that you're beautiful. That's jealousy, because you're attacking a person where you feel like their strength lies. She didn't attack her. She didn't say, let me take away your phone privileges. If she got a video game, let me take away your video game privileges. You're not hanging out with your friends or what have you. She attacked her daughter's beauty. And then not only did she do that, she attempted to go viral, publicly humiliating her in an attempt to humble her. Why? Because, like I told you, that there's that generational jealousy where an older woman can be jealous of you because you're younger and you're still in the youth, you haven't dealt with the hardships of life. You remind her probably of the mean girls in school that rejected her. She's looking at you. You got a beautiful face, snatch waist, and you've never had a man to dump you. And you got all these boys running after you. So at that stage of your life, you're a little bit cocky, and that's okay because you're a kid. You're a little bit cocky. You're going to school because you're still in that stage where your world is small. You only go to this small high school or this medium-sized high school. Even if it's a large high school, your world is still small. You have not been out in the world. And within that small space, within that small community, you are praised. People are looking at you. The boys want to be, the boys want you. Everybody wants to vote you in as prom queen. You're still in that small world. And that's how life's supposed to be. They got to get used to the small world, the tiny world of the family, then the school. Then they got to get into the college. And you notice how the world keeps growing for the person. They keep growing. But the thing is, you're supposed to help them navigate that. As a parent, when I was a young girl, and I'm all over the place and I'm trying to get back, but when I was a young girl, I experienced that. The first time I experienced that, I told y'all the story where we moved into a new neighborhood. I was 13 years old, and the lady that was over the apartments that we lived in, I was 12, I think. The lady that was over the apartments that we lived in, complained to my mother, reached out to my mother, and notice we're new to these apartments, right? Let me tell you a little bit of backstory with us. When I was growing up, we moved every year or every 2 years. We never had stability. My parents were always looking for a cheaper place. When I was a kid, we were always looking for a cheaper place. The house that we lived, there was a house we lived in. I always said 4 years, but I think it was like 2 or 3 when I look back. But then we moved into these apartments that was outside of city limits. Because they were outside of city limits, they were significantly cheaper than most apartments. They were significantly cheaper than most houses in town, and they were nice. They were in a nice area, nice community. So my family settled there. We ended up living there for 9 years. So we first moved out there, and I remember the first thing, and I've told y'all before, my bedroom window. I remember we went there to look at the place. And I think we had already been approved or what have you. There was tar on the window. And on the window that was going to be my bedroom. And my dad made a joke. He said, you can tell that it was a girl here. There was a father here, and he tarred her window down to keep her from going out or keep dudes from coming in. That was a running joke because they said that's why that had to be my bedroom, because the father before them had already did the work. This lady, older lady in her 50s, so when I first moved out to the neighborhood, these are boys. Little boys would be boys, okay? We're teenagers. We're preteen teenagers or what have you. It is what it is. Little boys see the new girl in the neighborhood, so they start coming over to our house. They start befriending my brother, so they knocking on the door. They like, hey, your sister single? Tell your sister to come out. I'm in the house laughing because I think, oh my gosh, I got all these boys. I'm in a new neighborhood. All these boys trying to get with me or what have you. My mom comes home one day and she says, I'm going to make up a name for this lady. We'll call her Miss Smith. Miss Smith said that, there be boys outside the house at the windows and stuff like that. And she said, yeah, she didn't say it so nice. She was just going off. You better stop. You got to do this. You got to do that. I said, listen, I told my mom, I said, Mom, I can't control those boys. Yes, they do come out there and they be knocking on the door for the most part. So they initially did start off knocking on windows. They would knock on the door. Whatever room they thought I was in, they knock on it. So long story short, my mom talked to us about it. And I told my mom, it's not me. I'm in the house. I'm not doing that. I'm not even talking to them. They talking to my brother. And my brother goes to the door. He talked to him and they laugh or what have you. So my mom, she was like, I better not catch these boys. Y'all better tell these boys to stop coming. Now, my mom, what she should have did, she should have went and said something, but she didn't. Long story short, here comes a day or two later. My mom said something again. I think it was the third time. My mom comes home. And the whooping I got, I never forgot. You will remember a lot of whoopings. I never forgot this particular one whooping. Let me tell you why. Sometimes memories are points of trauma. They are points of trauma. It was a point of trauma because my mom came home on her lunch break one day. I'm in the house. I'm not thinking, I don't know anything I've done wrong. My mom comes in. She's like, Tiffany, come here. And I'm like, what? And she proceeds. She got this extension cord and she proceeds to beat the brakes off of me with it. And I'm like, what did I do? And she said, Miss Smith said that you let your window up and let boys into the house. I said, no, I didn't. I don't even think I seen the boys that day. I was like, no, I didn't. I didn't. And I said, she lied on me. You know how hard it is, because as kids, we were taught you could not use the word lie. And you couldn't reference that as it related to an adult. How many of you were raised like that? You couldn't say an adult was lying. Do me a favor, like and share, guys. Like and share. You could not say an adult was lying. That was like a rule, right? You could. I said she lied on me. It was the first time I sat back and blatantly called an adult a liar, because I didn't understand why this 50-something-year-old grown woman would say that I did something I did not do. My father comes home, and I remember he comes in and he's like, what's going on? My mom proceeds to tell him, Miss Smith, said that Tiffany let her window up and let some boys in. My dad said that's impossible. Her windows are tied down. And I never forget I was like, see, this woman had beat me so bad. I was in so much pain. And I'm like, see? And my mom couldn't even apologize. She said, well, she should keep them boys away from the house, period. She couldn't apologize. I couldn't believe that that an adult could lie on you. Okay, fast forward. And I've talked about this in some of my books. I started working at Walmart. I'm 17 years old. I'm out. I'm just discovering. I'm still in that beginning stages of discovering your femininity, like boys looking or what have you. Now you got grown men looking or what have you. I'm still at that stage where I'm impressed by folks that could drive. I'm working at Walmart. I just started driving. I'm impressed with the fact that I started driving. I work as a cashier. We have this lady, I'll call her Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson is the lead cashier, like she's what they call a CSM, a CSM. So Miss Johnson was over us. I speak to another manager. I get one of my friends hired on there. Same thing. Both of us are in high school, right? So we can only stay till 11 o'clock on school nights and stuff like that. Certain rules that they have for minors. Working as a cashier, we had these registers called Death Row, which was registers 15, 16, 13, and 11. Pretty much sure register 12 as well. But that was Death Row. This was not a super Walmart. This was a standard Walmart. So the registers are down here. Death Row, you can only come in one direction to the registers. Every customer, or the majority of customers, did not go all the way to the other end and see that there were other registers open. So what they would do is they would stop there. So you got the most, like Death Row, you didn't have time to come stand out and out too much. Every once in a while you may get a break, but for the most part, Death Row, you're gonna work your whole shift. You're gonna be scanning. While the girls down there on the other end, they have no clients, they have no customers. So they would come stand out and in the aisles, or not so much in the aisles, but they would stand out so that they can talk to each other. That's when they started making a rule where they had to come more out into the aisle, because they would intentionally hide. So one girl would go around to the other girl's register. So Miss Johnson had her messy group of people. Miss Johnson would go over to her messy group and she would be over there talking to them. So she would intentionally make sure she put them on the lightest registers or what have you. She did this every time me and my friend were scheduled. Every time. We were always on death row. We were always on death row. So you can only imagine, we the only two people really working. The other cashiers are down there talking to Miss Johnson. They laughing or what have you. They got time. They're just walking around while we over there working. I never said anything, but I sit back and I was like, I knew something was wrong. I just couldn't figure out. I'm trying to figure out why this woman don't like me. Well, she doesn't like me and my friend girl. Long story short, there was this girl, and I'll call her real name. I'll call this girl's real name. Her real name was Jackie. I remember Jackie. We knew Jackie, but we didn't know her. We knew her from, talking to her, just kind of seeing her around. She was a cashier. And we was like, hey, how you doing? She's like, how y'all doing? I'm like, good, good, good. And Jackie was like 24, 25, maybe 27 years old or what have you. But we never really had a conversation. I'm saying it to say we never went to Jackie and said, hey, Jackie, this is what we're going through. We didn't say nothing to anybody. We just kind of discussed it amongst ourselves. Why Miss Johnson don't like us? I don't know. At that stage in my life, we didn't consider Miss Johnson was dealing with jealousy. Older woman, generational jealousy, seeing young women who were in their youth, just exposed, got their first jobs in life, still thinking, from the mindset of a high schooler. We didn't consider that. Jackie, by the grace of God, went and told, we got a new manager in. The new manager comes walking up to us. I'll never forget. Me and her, we were both on death row that day, but we finally got a break. We got a break. We standing out. As a matter of fact, I think it was earlier in the day, so it hadn't gotten too heavy yet. So me and my friend girl was standing there in the aisle. Miss, our new manager, she walks up to us, and she just walks up. I'm talking about. She just walks up. It was like really commanding the way she woke up. She walked up and she turned around. She said, "Is it true that every time Miss Johnson schedules y'all, when y'all are scheduled with her, she puts y'all on death row?" And we looked at each other because we didn't know who told her. And we just said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Okay, thank you." Bet. And she walked off. That was it. The next day, Miss Johnson had been demoted. She was demoted to a cashier. She was demoted to a cashier. That's what I'm talking about, generational jealousy. Generational jealousy typically is when an older woman has wrecked her life, made a mess of her life, made a mess of her body, no longer feels attractive, no longer feels like she's the prim of the pick of the litter, and she comes across a younger girl. If you don't stop, no. She comes across a younger girl. Milo, come here. Come here. We got to talk about this. You can't do this every time we're doing a video. The videos can't be ghetto. Sorry. No. You want to go in your kennel? Stop it. Sit. 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 Sorry. Okay. We will be back after this after the Amazon man leaves my yard. I didn't know Amazon was out there. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He ran away. He dropped the package and ran. Okay, commercial break over with. Sorry, Milo has to. He has a word, and I have to let him preach. I'm sorry. It could get ghetto over here. It could get real weird at times. But back to our regularly scheduled program. I love that little that little fluff ball too. But older woman jealousy is usually when an older woman has wrecked and made a mess out of her life. She dealt with that. Let me tell you, there are two kinds. One who used to be beautiful, and back in the day, she thought that she was going to get the professional football player, the NBL player, was that NFL, NBA? Okay, y'all gotta forgive me. She thought she was gonna get the prime guy. She thought she was so fine because she was in that community mindset. Because she had all the boys acting up over her in that little small community. And she thought that life was going to be good and easy for her. She thought that her beauty was going to open doors for her, what have you, but they opened the doors to bedrooms. This woman had been ran through. She had made a mess of her life. She got a divorce or 3 under her belt, and now she's no longer in her youthfulness. She's aged. She's no longer that attractive, and she hates young girls who have that, because at that stage, she's at a stage where she's a little bit wiser. And I was telling my friend about this yesterday. Those type of women, they're a little bit wiser, and they always say, if I could take the brain I got right now and get back to that baby body with the snatched waist and the confidence I had, I would be unstoppable. So they try to live vicariously through these young girls. And what those type of women will do is they will Jezebel a young girl. They will break a young girl. They are so attracted to beautiful young girls. And they will break them. They will try to be mean to them, mistreat them, or they'll try to spoil them, but they're trying to live vicariously through them, because they wrecked their own lives, they wrecked their own bodies, they wrecked everything. So now they're no longer youthful. Y'all better act like y'all know what I'm talking about. Don't leave me out here. Look, y'all better act like y'all know what I'm talking about. They want to live through those young girls. They are so impressed with the young girl, but then they feel like, oh no, see, this is what you got to do. You see, when it comes to these men, you got to play a man like this. You got to play like this, Because what they're doing is they're trying to take what they know or what they believe and instill it into that young person, because they're trying to live vicariously through that person. Then there's the one that didn't get picked. That was the one that wasn't that attractive, that got made fun of or felt ostracized or rejected by the mean girl, the beautiful girls. And they will sit there and punish the pretty girls for their childhood. They're still dealing with jealousy. They will punish them for their childhood. They will punish them. Y'all, I love it when people are honest. They will punish them for their childhood. I'm saying that to say you'll deal with two different types of jealous older women. Whenever the older woman is your mother, she doesn't have to be in her 50s. She could be in her 30s. She could be in her 40s. If she looks at you and you are beautiful, she no longer sees. When you were a kid, she was a decent enough mother. But the minute you reach puberty, y'all better act like you know what I'm talking about. The minute you reach puberty, she starts looking at you like a threat. Listen, she starts looking at you like a threat, because now you got your estrogen coming in. You know, breast starting to come in. Your body's starting to change. Most of us, we've experienced that with older women, but we didn't know what it was because we were taught to respect them. Most of us, we've experienced that with older women, but we were taught to respect them. So whenever we dealt with it, it was like, yes, ma'am, go sit over there. I don't know why you got all that lipstick on. Yes, ma'am. Why you got all that on? One more story, and then I'm going to get back and I'm going to show the video to you guys again. One more story, working at Walmart. Now, this one here, I'm young, I'm cocky. Can I tell you something? Y'all do know that a lot of older guys like young girls because they're young, cocky. They have not been dealt the rough hand of life, the rough hand of reality, and they're still young and they're still naive. Y'all do know that, right? Y'all do know that, right? Y'all do know that 30-year-old men be trying to holler at 16 and 17-year-old girl. Y'all do know that, right? And they try to keep it on the wraps. Y'all do know that, right? Okay. I can put it out there. I can put it out there. I'm more than 20 years removed from that. I was working at Walmart. The manager had a crush on me. There were a few of the guys there. They were my whole group, my whole friend group. Yeah. We were party girls going to the clubs and what have you. We had managers that were flirting. The manager used to call me to the office just to tell me I was pretty to him. White guy. I'm 20 years removed. He used to call me to the office. He's no longer employed at Walmart, and I'm not putting his name out there, not trying to blast him. I'm saying he used to call me to the office. And it used to scare the crap out of me. He would call me to the office. He would get on the overhead. Tiffany Buckner to the manager's office. Tiffany Buckner to the manager's office. The Most High God knew I'm telling the truth. He would call me up in there. I come and he said, "Close the door behind you, please." I get in there, I close the door. He said, "I just wanted to tell you that you're doing a good job, and you know you're a really attractive girl. You're really pretty to me. You know what have you." He used to call me to the office just to tell me I was pretty to him. At that time, I used to wear these little brown contacts. I think I had the green ones. He thought those were my real eyes. Okay. Long story short, he was talking about my eyes. You know, he was talking about you got those beautiful eyes. That's it. And I'm sitting there thinking he's gonna write me up, tell me I did something wrong or what have you. But no, every time you would think I would catch on, I never caught on. I even remember the time I went in there, my contact was old and it was moving around in my head, it was hurting, and I'm constantly blinking while he talked because it was dry. It was time to take out, I had debris into the stuff. I started to run and I'm just like that. And I'm like, this dude don't see this contact moving around in my head. I remember that because I remember that eye. But I never forget he told me, he said, we had this giveaway coming up at Walmart. We had this giveaway coming up. And he said, I want you to win. So what we were supposed to be doing is selling tickets for veterans, right? We were supposed to be selling tickets for veterans. And we were selling the tickets for $1, and the person that made the most sales would get $100 in a day off of pay, if I remember correctly. Obviously, we all wanted to win. And we all wanted to win. So he tells me, he was like, just wanted to call you back here. He said, because I really want you to win, but you can't tell anybody. He says, so I'm going to give you the tickets. You know, when you get the tickets, I'm going to tell them, pull you out your department. You're going to be at the front selling tickets. Okay. So that you'll catch people when they're coming in. I'm like, yeah. A young girl will let you, to the guys. I used to be a young girl, and I'm gonna speak from a young girl's perspective. We will let you flirt with us if that gave us some type of benefit. Okay, we can flirt. I ain't telling nobody. Yes. Flirt on, flirt, have fun, have fun. He sits back and he's like, he tells me that. I get to the front and I'm selling tickets. Like a week later, I'm at the front. I'm selling tickets. Y'all, I'm wearing clothes that, yeah. I'm over there and I'm flirting as guys come through the door. Literally, I'm sitting at the ticket. I'm sitting at this table and I'm flirting. So this one lady, she was a big woman. I remember that. It's a big woman. And she was really the embodiment of what people think that big women are, big black women. She had that real hard attitude, like she always mad and always trying to correct somebody. She was that type of woman. So she was like, that ain't fair. Why she get to sit up here? It's only because of how she dressed. That ain't fair. Y'all got, so she fussed so bad that they said, let her sit. Y'all probably heard me tell this story before, but they were like, let her sit up here too. So now the table was long enough. She's sitting beside me every day. We're at this table for about a week. Every day we come in, she comes. She don't speak to me. She don't say much of anything to me. I would say, hey, Miss Such and Such. Hey, regardless of how I got that thing, she was embodying jealousy because she saw that I was getting a little bit of favor and she felt like I was getting that because I was young, super skinny, and what have you. While I may have been getting that favor, that did not entitle her to show that jealousy. I'm saying that because y'all got to stop being mad at these young girls because they're in a stage that you used to be in. Let's be real. You got to stop being mad at a young girl. I don't get mad when I see a young cocky girl. I just think I laugh and I think to myself, she's enjoying her life right now. She needs that space before she goes out into the real world. So, long story short, the guys are coming in. People are coming in. I'm flirting. We got two different methods. I told this story before. It's because it's hilarious. We got two different methods. I'm flirting. She punky. And it ain't working. So I'm like, I got the little ticket. They said, don't you want to buy a ticket? Don't you want to help me out? Help me win. Buy a ticket for the veterans. It's just $1. And then you can win a television set. Don't you want to help? And the guy be like, yeah, all right. You just gonna buy one? You increase your so they're buying tickets for me. Dudes are buying tickets, right? I'm not asking dudes with women. I'll say, hey, tickets. But if I saw a dude walking by himself, I had him in the bag. I was young. That's what young girls do. They're still playing with their femininity. They're still discovering their femininity. They're discovering their feminine powers, or another word for that, feminine wiles. They're starting to realize how much power they have over men. Y'all better stop acting. Don't. I'm trying to help you to get out of jealousy. I'm sitting there and I'm showing the ticket. So her, on the other hand, she trying to punk folk. Excuse me, don't you want to help out? I ain't never seen people start speed walking so much. Excuse me, don't you want to help out the veterans? So when she realized my method is working and hers is not, she summons one of the managers over there. Literally. She says, she over here flirting with everybody. No, she's summoned the store manager. She said she flirting with everybody. She getting her tickets by flirting. Wearing that half stuff, she getting her tickets by flirting. I'm sitting there like, and I'll never forget what the manager told her. He said, well, if it works, then, we haven't had any complaints. I won. I won. I did. I won. And she said it in the meeting. She stopped the meeting in the middle of it. They were like, to announce the winner, Tiffany Buckner. I won $100 in the day off with pay. And she was like, the only reason that she won, because she out there with her tickle bitties out and up there flirting with every dude that come through there. Even old men ain't safe from her. I was a young kid. Young girls do that. They're not trying to take your man, because I'm going to say something. And when I play this video again, I'm going to tell you something I think could potentially be going on. But they're not trying to take your man. They're young. Now, some of them want your man's attention, but they're young. They're young. And You're beautiful. You play with your beauty. Come on. Why y'all think y'all out there getting these BBLs? Because you realize the power that you have over men. Okay, y'all don't be want me to talk. Because this is an estrogen channel. It's got more estrogen on this channel than testosterone. And I'm letting the men hear it as well. Women play with their beauty, honestly. Because they play with it. They start playing with it in their youth. Your little 4-year-old, she's not playing with it from a sexual standpoint, but at the age of 4, she will sit on uncle's lap. Uncle, can I get some candy? Can I get some money? Which is why you got to tell her to get off of it. Well, she's not playing with her femininity. She's playing with the fact that you think she's a cute little girl. Which is why you don't let your daughters do that. Get up. She's not thinking sexual or flirting, but a man can construe it as that. No, she's a little girl that realizes she gets a lot of attention. See, little boys don't have that type of favor. She realizes that every time she gives you that look, can I have some candy? Whether you're a male or female, she gets it. Once you realize that something works, they will keep doing it. And you have to tell a little girl because it's innocent for her. It's just her trying to get candy or money. But you realize she could be dealing with a sick and twisted individual. And then once a woman gets older and starts discovering, when she comes out of that stage of fear and starts discovering, dang it, you in a whole trance. Ooh, would you look? Let me put them out a little bit more. She realizes the power that she has over men. So you add that to the teenage rebellious stage at the age of 15 and 16, where she's dealing with youthful influences, aka peer pressure. You'll have a little girl that's doing a lot of stupid stuff. But you know what? While it's not good, it's okay. She's in her youth. Get back to the video. I'm going to tell you something I've seen. I noticed in this video, or not noticed, but something I kind of have my own theory about this video. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna get to that part too. Trigger warning. I'm not a parent who likes to use physical discipline. Come here, you're gonna learn today, girl. No physical discipline. Don't mom me. No, you had your warning. You had your chance. I told you to listen. I told you stop disobeying my rules. I told you being cute ain't shit. If you have no education, I told you stop disobeying me. I told you to listen and do as you're supposed to. I told you to do good in school. I told you to do your daily routine, and you yet to even do any of it. And you thought you were disobeying me today, and I was not coming to cut this hair off. You're sadly mistaken because you thought being pretty was so much better than being educated or listening to your mom, right? Yes, this is what happens when you don't listen to your mom. The crazy thing is, that's jealousy. Rather than focusing on sitting down and talking to her daughter, rather than sitting down and taking something from her daughter, rather than doing what, let's talk to, like, for example, some of our sisters and brothers in Africa, what they'll do in many cases, and for my sisters and brothers in Africa, let me know if I'm wrong, but in Africa, if a parent realizes they can't handle you, they'll send you to another family member. That's a little bit more strict. The ones that come to America will send them all the way back to Africa. Not always the best thing, but sometimes it works. It's not always the best thing, I'm saying. And I've seen that with a lot of people in different countries in Africa. I'm saying that to say, if you can't handle the kid, call her daddy. Find somebody else that can. If nothing you do is working, it's not the child, it's just the methods that you're using. Maybe you need to utilize somebody else. A lot of my cousins got sent back. Yes, they will send them back. They will send them right back over to Africa. We'll tell them we're going to visit your grandma and them in Nigeria and get them over there. The kids think they just going for a visit. Next thing they know, they hear mom at the airport on the plane. Because what they're doing is trying to show them the hardships of life to give them a reality check. So that because they're still in that state. Let me tell you something. That she's attacking her daughter's beauty. This is definitely jealousy. I don't care how nobody try to interpret it. That's not discipline. That's jealousy. That's a narcissistic mother who sees her daughter as competition. That's a narcissistic mother who sees her daughter as competition. But one of the things that I want to point out, one of the things I thought, and this is just a theory, it's just me grabbing for straws, maybe. Typically, in a lot of cases, when a mother goes to that extreme, in many cases, she has a boyfriend that's present. She got a man that's not the father of that child. And that man may have looked at that child. And rather than her saying, get your twisted pervert, I notice how you keep looking at my daughter, they will take it out on their kid. Sister Lauren, I love you. Thank you, sis. God bless you. The look on her face, yeah, she disassociated. She just went to that. It's a point of trauma. I had so much trauma in my childhood where I would do that. That's the disassociation. You would just come right out of that point. You will lock yourself out because you have to disconnect your emotions because you know it's gonna hurt. And I'm gonna let you guys watch another how she responded as well. I'm gonna let you watch after the internet handed her butt, after the internet came for her, when she realized she took the video down. This is a stitch video, but I'm gonna let you watch how her response video went. But I'm saying that to say, in many cases, what you're witnessing is a mother who, and I'm not saying that this is the case with her, but I got a sneaking suspicion that it may be. In many cases, you have a woman who has a boyfriend, somebody that's visiting, a live-in boyfriend, and he may not be the first person that looked at her daughter inappropriately. And rather than them sitting there and saying, you twisted bomb, don't you ever come to my house again, they'll start taking it out on their daughter. They'll look at their daughter as the other woman. Right? It'll still grow back, but self-esteem is hard to recover. That was her attack. Her attack wasn't against her hair. It was against her self-esteem. And she posted it publicly because she not only wanted to humiliate her, she wanted to destroy her own kid. And she did what Jezebel does, plays the victim. I'm going to let y'all watch. I'm going to let y'all watch the rest of it when she comes back and does a response.
Today, I had to do something that, do you feel traumatized? No. Do you feel like I abused you? No. Do you feel like this form of discipline was a lot better than any other form of discipline, like physical abuse that I could have used? Yes. You know I love you, right? Yes. You know I got your back, right? Yes. You know what I'm doing right now is to make you a better person, right? Yes. How many times have I spoken to you about this? What time? How many times have your teachers called me? Multiple times. How many times have you not handed in homework? A few times. How many times have you not listened? How many times have I told you when you're grounded not to do certain things and you're still doing them? A lot of times. Right. A lot of times, right? And I've been speaking to you about this for how long? A year. So today when I did what I did by cutting off your hair, you understand why I did it, right? Yeah. And you're learning from it, right? Yeah. And what did you learn? I learned not to disrespect you and to listen to you. And also? And to do my homework. Because school comes first, right? Yeah. And if you have no education, then you have nothing, right? Yeah. So if you're not listening in class and you're not behaving and you're not listening to your teachers and you're not handing in your schoolwork, do you deserve to have extensions in your hair? No. Do you deserve to have the latest styles in your hair? Do you deserve to have nails in your hair? No. Your hair will grow back, right? Yeah. You can wear wigs, right? Yeah. I can add extensions back, right? Yeah. So you know what I did. I did out of love, right? Yeah. And the only reason why I posted was because of what? You think that these Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok and Roblox is your life. I didn't embarrass you. You embarrassed yourself, right? Yeah. Thank you. My kid's not abused. My kid isn't upset. I'm not a parent.
What you just witnessed is what's called gaslighting. She's trying to tell her daughter how to define her abuse. She's making her daughter resent her own beauty. She's trying to make her daughter feel as if her beauty is holding her back. She started gaslighting her because the internet was whooping her tail. And the daughter is responding. I saw somebody respond, you're not going to say, you're going to say what you're in the house with the abuser. You're going to say what the abuser wants you to say. You're not trying to go for that. She tried to gaslight her and gaslight the entire internet into believing that, hey, I'm not abusing my daughter. This is discipline. That's not discipline. That's abuse, ma'am. I'm going to be devil's advocate because one thing about it, her daughter is attractive. The mother is attractive on the outside, at least. This is a Jezebelic mother, a narcissistic mother. One thing about it is a lot of young girls who are exceptionally beautiful, who are pretty, they get a bad rep. And they already go through life. They already go through the hardships of life. Because I know a lot of people think that a girl that's attractive, that life opens all doors for her. No, she goes through hell. It's different on every side of the spectrum. I did this thing. Who told you you were ugly? I taught a lesson on that before. A woman who's exceptionally beautiful, especially if she prays for her beauty repeatedly, a lot of times she gets the hard end of the stick as well. While she may have doors that open for her, she may get unmerited favor. First and foremost, unmerited favor don't help nobody. But unmerited favor from a human, that is. But in many cases, she's judged the moment she walks into a room. She's bullied by other women. She's mishandled by other women because of the face and the body that she has. And don't let her go through her youthful ignorance that all of us go through when we discover our feminine wiles. When she goes through that point, a lot of times she is ostracized by other women. I told you I had a best friend at one time, a really close friend, and I remember walking up on her. We were working, and I walked up on her, and she's crying. And I come up to her and I said, "What's wrong?" And I never forget, she had her head down like this. And I said, "What's wrong?" And when she lifted her head up, she did this here. And I said, "What?" She started pointing at her face. And she said, "I'm judged the moment I walk into a room." She said, "I'm judged." She said, "People already have judged me the moment I walk into a room." You know where she was having trouble as a Black woman? She was having trouble with other Black women. We don't like to talk about that. She was having trouble because of other Black women who'd had traumatic experiences with the mean pretty girls who start assuming that every pretty girl is mean. Or they feel like if you pretty, you better prove it. Do you come in peace? You better act humble. You better lower your head and don't make eye contact. It's asinine, crazy, and ridiculous. But when you see jealousy from a mother to a daughter, typically what you're going to have is a mother constantly referencing the area that she's jealous of. You think that long hair gonna help you. You think being pretty gonna do this. You think having that nice little shape. That's what jealousy does. It makes you highlight what you feel that the person's strength, and then it makes you zoom in on their flaws and constantly rub their face in their flaws. Constantly rub their face in their flaws. You do this, you do that. How you sit up here? You okay? You got all these men checking for you, but do they know you got a C on your report card? Her mother made another video where she said, "If I wanted to embarrass my daughter, I would tell y'all what she got in trouble for." People are punished because of how they look, whether they're incredibly attractive or they're not so attractive. That's why a lot of us, we like to get on the middle of the spectrum. Forget that. I want to be ugly to some folks and beautiful to other folks. I like to have a flexible face. Y'all thought about that one day in my car, started laughing. We like flexible faces because you know what? You you can just be whatever. And a lot of times people can go in because a lot of times when a woman is beautiful, she begins to dress herself down. I ain't gonna wear no extensions, no makeup, nothing. I'm just gonna put something on. I'm gonna put on some baggy clothes. Y'all know what we talking about. We like to be in the middle of the spectrum a lot of times. You get the most attention when you're in the middle of the spectrum. You get the most attention. You get a lot of guys checking for you. Then you get to weed out the shallow ones that just really want a girl that's a dime. All that stuff. Because you know what? If we don't like you, we can show up, and we told you we wanted to be friends. We can show up just looking any kind of way. If we really like you, We can turn it to a dime if we want to. That's what I call a flexible face. That's what I call a flexible face. Y'all be talking about basic. Basic is the best to be. It's the best. It's the best to be. It's having the ability. They call it shape shifting. What the heck is shape shifting? Right, freedom. The freedom to be beautiful, and the freedom to just go and be busted. Which one you want? Which one I'm gonna be today? Just gonna come on here busted. I don't even care. Flexible faces. That I call them flexible faces. But I'm saying that to say, first and foremost, we need to pray for that little girl. And I'm not just saying that. There are nearly 400 people on here right now. But sorry, y'all. But there are nearly 400 people on here right now, and there are going to be thousands of people that watch this video. And I need you to hear me. Every last one of you, I would love for you to send up a prayer for her. Because if her mother is a narcissist, which I believe 99.99999% that Satan is the dad of that mother, that woman is a narcissist, she's taking her daughter through it right now because she got narcissistic injury. She was looking for narcissistic supply. She was looking for narcissistic supply from the internet. She thought she was going to be praised. She thought she was going to get a lot of attention. It did not pan out that way. Instead, the internet has been spanking her all over the place. And now she's going to take it out on her kid. More than likely, she's going to punish her and say, look, if it wasn't for you, if you did what I told you to do, none of this stuff would have happened. I wouldn't have had to cut your hair off. Now they're talking about me on the internet. Yep. It's your narc. You can see it. You can tell. Let's make sure that we literally audibly say a prayer for her. Audibly say a prayer for her. Lord, protect this baby girl in the name of Jesus. Father, protect her mind. Cover her mind with the blood of Jesus. Father, use her in her purpose. Don't let her be an enemy of the beauty that you gave her in Jesus' name. Y'all got to hear me when I say this. If God gives a woman, if she's exceptionally beautiful, there may be a reason that God created her that way. Everybody's beautiful, right? But sometimes some people are societally, I'm going to call it societally beautiful. That means that that's what's popular in society that day. Y'all do know that beauty is different all around the world, right? You do know that the fine girls here are not fine in other countries. You do know what's considered beautiful here is not considered beautiful in other countries. Y'all do know that, right? Even within Black America, because I think Black America, African Americans, we can be some of the cockiest people because we think that we got it going on that America. No, take your tail to Africa, go to one of those countries, and you probably won't even get a lot of attention because you may not be considered the standard of beauty. You may not be. Y'all know I used to be married to a Cameroonian guy. I remember watching a pageant with him, and all the women that were on the stage were beautiful, but the ones that I felt like would win didn't. The ones that won, she was beautiful, but I remember watching that pageant, and he was like, "Oh, the women." He kept saying, "Oh, she's very pretty. Oh, she's really pretty." I was like, "Yeah, she's cute. She's cute." I learned just being married to him that the standard of beauty was different. We watched This Christmas with Chris Rock and all that. Right, beauty is different to Africans. We watched This Christmas, and I'm looking at the women on there, and I'm constantly saying they're beautiful. I'm like, this one, oh, she's so pretty. I said, she's real pretty. And he was like, she's pretty to you? She's not pretty to me. And I'm like, what? He's like, no, she's not pretty at all to me. I don't know why y'all consider her to be beautiful. I'm saying that to say, that's one of the reasons why I never fell under that social thing. I never allowed myself to be a slave to that. I never allowed myself to go, because y'all know there are different eras that we go through. Y'all do know that back when I was growing up, that was a skin bleaching era. Michael Jackson kicked that off of us. It was a skin bleaching. People were literally buying bleaching cream. I remember we had kids in our school that had light faces and dark necks. That was how you told you. That was how you discovered that the kid used bleaching cream, was because they would bleach their face and not their necks. Eventually, some of the people started catching on, but they started bleaching their necks, but then they couldn't wear a swimsuit. Yo, there are different eras. There are different eras of beauty. Go back and look at the history of beauty. Y'all do know big booties were not always a thing. You do know big booties won't always be a thing. Big booties became a thing when you started having hip hop music come out, and you had, what was that man's name? Who was saying, I like big butts and I cannot lie. All of that. That's when that stuff started trending. Media determines what we consider to be beautiful. So the reason I've never been a slave to Oh, she looks so pretty. Why don't I have that body? I'd love to have a voluptuous butt like that. What? No, why? The reason I've never became because the thing is, I don't want a man who gets his opinion from TV or from his friends. I like a leader. I'm just sorry. That's just me. I like a leader. There's something about somebody that know how to think for himself. It just does it for me all the time. Sir Mix-a-Lot, right? That's when big butts start being praised, when you have music because they were trying to celebrate the black woman, the features of the black woman. In the 80s, what was popularized were light-skinned women. They were worshiping black women. The only black women that were put on the television screen for the most part were light-skinned women who had European features. This is why we coined the term good hair. So in the 90s, you saw the rise of black women. Like you start seeing artists coming out, they started celebrating big lips. When I was a kid, y'all don't know the different changes I've seen. When I was a kid, I'm telling you, if you're 20s or 30s, you're gonna see more changes. When I was a kid, you couldn't have big lips. Now people out here trying to buy a lip plumper. When I was a kid, somebody like me, I'm grateful for my lips. I am. Never had a problem. But when I was a kid, you know what they would do? If your lips were, my lips were never considered big. However, if your lips were just even a tad big, you would get made fun of. People said you look like you suck. Yeah, they would say that. They say you look like a fish. They'd be walking around doing this right here. They made fun of you for having big lips. And during that time, the thing that people used to do is they would take an eyeliner pencil. Nowadays you line the outside. You line the outside. It's designed to, you see that dark, how my lips are naturally dark. It's designed to give that dark, to try to make it look a bit more natural. But when I was a kid, you line the inside of your lips. Right? They call them soup coolers. You line the inside of your lip. You would go. All right. You would go like here. You line the inside. The objective was to make your lips look smaller. Right? A fake mole. The objective was to make your lips look smaller. That was it. And then you put lipstick in the lip part. That's where the eyeliner thing came from. People eyelining their lips. It was to make the lip look smaller. There have been different beauty trends. Beauty trends are facts, not truths. So that means that, you know what? If that's trending and that's what a person wants, I don't give three rats feathers. We go with the lipstick. When I was a kid, now this is a brown. We're doing a makeup tutorial. Something I got from the hair store. When I was a kid, when I was younger, y'all do know, when I was a teenager, thick eyebrows were not a thing. You got made fun of. When women drew their eyebrows, they would shave them off and draw a line. They would shave them off and draw a line. I fell victim to that era. You would shave them off and you would pretty much just draw a line. Some women, you could tell they still stuck in the 80s. They still stuck in the 90s. They still drawing lines. You just got a real thin line. Nowadays, you want to have thicker eyebrows. Nowadays, you want them to come a little bit more here. I'm saying beauty trends fade. They're not even trends, they're fads. They fade. Yeah, if you had pretty eyebrows, you probably were good. I remember some of the women that had some of the best eyebrows, they were shaving that stuff out. I'm saying that to say, guys, let's be praying for this mother. Let's be praying for the daughter. Pray for the mother's healing and her deliverance. Because if the daughter got to live there with her, I know we can villainize a woman. At the end of the day, the objective is prayerfully for her to become a better mother, a better person, a better human. Because what she did to her daughter was not okay. What she did to her daughter was pure traumatic. What she did to her daughter will remember. And every daughter needs the love of her mother, not just the love of her father. But your mother determines how you look at the world, how you see the world as a woman. And I'm afraid that this young girl is being taught that her beauty is something that she should not be proud of when we all have something that we insinuate. We all have something that we're happy to have, right? We all have something that we're happy to have. Some women have naturally long hair. Some women have curly hair. The curls are tight and coily and they're long and they love their 4C, 4D hair. Then you have some women that have a different textures, a little bit more curly. They used to call that good hair. They got the natural baby edges that everybody is going out here trying to get. You got some people who got what they call tight eyes, right? You got some women that's got colorful eyes green, brown, what have you. You got some women who have narrow noses. You have some women who have a little bit wider noses. Some women who have beautiful lips. You have some women who have beautiful shapes. No matter what they eat, their shapes stay the same. We all are happy to have something to be proud of. But we should never get to the point that we focus on what somebody else has to the point that we want to rip it away from them. She tried to steal her daughter's beauty. She tried to steal her daughter's beauty. And to any woman that may be looking at this who thinks that what she did was okay, I feel bad for your daughter. I pray that you get healing. I pray that you go get therapy because that's not okay to sit there and cut your child's hair off her head. I don't care if she is cocky. If that was my baby girl, I would be telling her, you are abnormally beautiful. You are remarkably pretty. And I don't want you to lean to that because the world could be a cruel place and you could end up being a man's trophy. And I don't want you to become a trophy wife because then you'll end up in relationships with men that don't love you, who just want to show you off. And you're smarter than that. So I don't want you to lean to that. I would help her to understand what happened. I would make sure that she got an understanding. I would take her phone if she's acting up. I take her phone. I was stricken, but I'm gonna make sure I encourage her. I'm gonna let her know you are beautiful. You are beautiful. You're beautifully and wonderfully made. You're an unusually pretty girl, and you probably know that you get a lot of praise at your school from boys. But you're in a small world right now. You're gonna go to college, and in college, in high school, you'll get unmerited favor. In college, you're not gonna get that. Then when you come out of college, the world is not going to do that. You're going to go into an office. They ain't going to care nothing about how pretty you are. The only favor you can get is if you're sleeping with the manager. And I don't want you to think that you got to do that. I want you to get your money on your own. That way you don't have to use your face. That's sad. So you never have to use your face or your body. When women, I would help her to understand when women feel like they can use their face or their body, what happens is they learn over the course of time. You're not going to get unmerited favor. At some point, you're going to have to start putting out. So then by the time you hit your 30s, you are ran through. And you don't have much of anything. You got like 4 or 5 kids running around you, and they got different daddies. You got kids from light skin and dark skin. They China into to Somalian. You got your kids. Your kids. They look like a whole different nation of people. It's just different people in the house. I want you to be better than that. I want you to know that you can be beautiful, and you're gonna deal with people that hate on you, and you're not gonna understand why. But I want you to know how to walk this thing out. I want you to know I don't ever want you to be accused of sleeping with somebody or using your beauty to get to the top. I want you to work hard for everything that you get. That way, nobody can use your beauty against you. Yeah, she was directly attacking her crown. That's how you know it's Jezebel, and because she was determined to humble her. She was determined because she felt like that if I take that away from her, she'll go under my control. She'll do, and I can tell you without a shadow of doubt, she's breaking this little girl. By the time this girl gets older, we'll hear from her again. When thank you, Fantastic. God bless you, sis. Um, by the time this girl gets older, she'll go likely go no contact with her mother. She'll cut her off. She'll go no contact with her. And when she gets older, she'll likely come out and she'll talk about the things that she's gone through. When she gets older, she'll likely say, do you guys remember this video? That was me, that was my mother, or what have you. It was far worse because for her daughter to come out there, if her daughter doesn't feel like, she was like, are you traumatized? And the daughter just sitting there like, no, she's disassociating. But for her, that told me that she's probably done far worse things to her daughter. She's constantly attacking her daughter's beauty. She's constantly attacking her daughter's beauty because that's a strength of hers. And maybe she was cocky and now she sees her daughter in that stage. And rather than helping her to encourage her and teaching her, using those as teachable moments, she's using that to hurt her daughter. Yeah, she disassociated. She literally, in that moment, she disassociated. And I have points of trauma in my life that I literally, they're just like yesterday in my mind. They no longer affect me because I heal from them, but I remember them and they're so clear. They're like, there are memories that you carry with you. And one thing the daughter will carry with her is not just that her mother cut her hair off her head. That's bad enough. But the fact that her mother tried to humiliate her, the fact that her mother went out of her way to publicly humiliate her, not in front of her friends, not in front of her siblings, but in front of the entire world. She wanted the world to make fun of her daughter. I need you to think about that. Young people have the highest rate of suicide. She wanted the world to attack her daughter. She wanted the world to laugh at her daughter. She wanted the world to mock her daughter and praise her. If that ain't Jezebel, I don't know who he is. I love y'all. I'm gonna go, but I just wanted to make sure that y'all saw the video. If you didn't, I posted it up in here. I posted it. You just go back and watch the replay. I posted it. I shared it 2 or 3 times. If I share it again, I'll start talking again. I'm gonna get triggered. I'm gonna get annoyed or what have you. But I pray that you guys got something from this. And please, 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 if you find that you have been remotely abusive toward your daughter, just take parenting classes or find somebody and say, hey, I've never had a healthy parent. And I don't, and it's okay. Please, it's okay. Y'all got to hear me. It's not a slight against you. It's actually a good thing if you come and say, I don't know how to. I don't know how. I don't know how to be a good mother. My mother competed with me. My mother gave me this. My mother did this to me. My mother did that to me. And sometimes I find myself trying to struggle. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to be that mother I need to be. So can you teach me? Could you show me? This is an idea I have. She's acting out in school. I've been thinking like this. If somebody could tell you, no, that's not a good way to punish her. Get help. And to the men, be careful because your last name is supposed to travel. Be careful who you are having kids with because you're dropping your seeds off in some real witches, some real evil women. And when you leave the scene, you just dropped off the carrier of your destiny, the person who is a piece of you. You drop that off in somebody that's about to break you, a piece of you that's going to tear you down. In many cases, they will do that because you left. They will treat their kids good when the fathers are around, but she may have other kids. I don't know this woman. She may have other kids, and the dad may still be around that she's treating well. But because the father of that child left, she will repeatedly punish her. Repeatedly punish her and mistreat her. And the other kids, they're getting false favors simply because the daddy is still present in their lives. Get in the comments, ladies, and talk about it. Get in the comments and talk about it. Because a lot of people have dealt with that. Milo said he just demanding, yeah, you want some hugs and kisses, don't you? I love y'all. I pray that this blessed you. I pray that you guys, if you do need help, please ask for it. Ask for it. Let's create a mother group. I don't mind creating something like that for mothers to say, I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I'm tired of being a mama. I'm tired of doing this. It's okay. Get some help. Don't traumatize your kids. All right. Love you.